Hey guys, so I haven't made a video in a while, and I just learned that YouTube is no longer going to be using their webcam capture function. So I'm now using webcamera.io in order to record videos and then upload them to YouTube. This is kind of a counterintuitive way of doing it, because with the webcam capture function it would go directly onto YouTube and I could edit it there. Now I have to record the video here, save it to my computer, then I have to upload it to YouTube, and then I have to put it in the YouTube editor. So in other words, it's going to be more difficult to make videos, if that makes any sense. Anyways, stay tuned for more content. I'm still going to try and make videos, see if I can find better alternatives. But right now, this seems like what I'll be using. So you guys stay tuned for more content. Hey guys, okay, so today what I'm going to be talking about are just a few different things that I think are cool. Thing number one, All-Time 10s. All-Time 10s is a YouTube channel that I discovered during the break, and they release themed fact list. So if you like the top 10 most haunted places, or the top 10 ghost towns you don't want to go to, or really top 10 anything, they have a lot of different lists, and not all of the lists are really top 10. I don't want them to seem like Watch Mojo, because Watch Mojo does a lot of top 10 lists. All-Time 10s isn't really about top 10 as in like 10, 9, 8, each being like of a certain importance. It's normally 10 facts about blank. So it's 10 facts about a theme. So the lists aren't opinionated. They're based around just giving you 10 facts about a specific theme. It appears that they release videos daily from what I've seen. So if you want to just learn 10 new facts about a random theme every day, All-Time 10s would be a cool way to do it. The Gamer from Mars I actually discovered today, and the whole thing about the Gamer from Mars is that I don't want to put him in a box suddenly. I'm not going to say it's his whole thing, but it's the reason I subscribe to him, is that he has several videos on YouTube internet culture analysis, and I watched a 24 video playlist that he did on internet culture analysis. I skipped the very last one on the playlist, so I watched like 23 of the videos. But he does a really good job of looking into different elements of internet culture and breaking them down. He talked about some of the scary things that have happened on like 4chan, Reddit, and Twitch, and he also talks about the positives of those things. Instead of being very biased and very against different elements of internet culture, he kind of shows an opinion without showing an opinion, by showing the good and the bad of a lot of elements of the internet, and I really enjoyed that. Nomic. If you've never played the game Nomic, I'd recommend that you get a few friends together and try it out. It is a game where you make up the rules as you go. So the game starts with one basic rule. Each turn someone rolls a die. Whatever you roll is the number of points you earn that turn, and the goal is to earn 100 points. Now the second rule in Nomic is that each turn you can propose a new rule to add to the game, and then by proposing a new rule, everyone else votes on whether or not they want to add that rule to the game or not. And then if the rule's added to the game just keeps going accordingly with that new rule. And each turn a new rule can potentially be added to the game, and the game can get crazier and crazier and more interesting as more rules are voted for. And I believe you can also propose for a rule to be taken away, or even propose for rules that prevent you from taking away rules, and so on and so forth. So Nomic really just becomes whatever game you want it to be, and you can actually create really cool sets of game rules to make into your own games that you guys have essentially collaboratively created together. So I really like Nomic. I believe you guys could go check it out, see if you like it, and tell me what you think in the comment section below. Next up, I'm going to be talking about some facts that I learned from the MIT Encyclopedia of Cognitive Science. So, according to the MIT Encyclopedia of Cognitive Science, the laws of sympathetic magic actually work, but certain laws only work on adults and others only on children and animals. Now, when I saw this, I thought it was interesting, because never would I have thought that magic, if explained through like cognitive science, would somehow allow for animals to be affected by it. Because I imagined while reading the article from the MIT Encyclopedia of Cognitive Science that they would have emphasized the idea that magic was psychological, and for them to have explained magical phenomenon through, saying that, oh, it's all in your head, it's the placebo effect or something like that. But it cites multiple experiments that have been tested on adults, children, and animals that shows that the laws of sympathetic magic actually work. But the law of similarity only works on children and animals, and the law of contagion only works on adults. And what's really interesting about that is it's essentially saying that when you're a kid, there's like one law of sympathetic magic that works on you. But then you grow up and another law affects you, but the law that affected you as a kid no longer affects you. But then kids aren't affected by the adult law. So the law of magic that affects adults does not affect children, and vice versa. And I thought that was really interesting because that means that you go through so many years of your life with only a certain magic that actually affects you. And then you hit a point where one magic no longer works on you, but another magic does. Now, people watching this video are probably skeptical and they're saying to themselves, well, if you don't believe in magic, then magic shouldn't work or magic isn't real. A lot of people are fine with saying that maybe there's some psychological component to magic, but a lot of people are not okay with saying that magic is anything more than placebo. But it seems to actually be more of the illusion of introspection. And I'll explain what that is. The illusion of introspection is kind of debated, but experiments have shown that people discount a lot of the psychological reasoning that people put into their own introspection. Introspection being looking at the way you think and trying to figure out why you think a certain way. So a lot of people believe that other people falsely attribute the way that they think to different ideas, but they believe that they themselves can properly do introspection and they understand why they think a certain way. But that's false. So a lot of introspection, as seen in experiments, has been shown to be incorrect. So when you try and think about why you feel a certain way or why you behave a certain way, we normally attribute our thoughts and behaviors to like other conscious thoughts and behaviors, but there are actually a lot of unconscious mechanisms that people aren't aware of that direct how they behave and how they think. And this is essentially how the laws of sympathetic magic work. Unconsciously, you believe in like the law of similarity, or you believe in the law of contagion. But consciously, you can be like the biggest skeptic and not believe that magic exists. But it doesn't matter whether you consciously believe it or not. Everyone unconsciously believes in these laws of sympathetic magic, and that is why everyone is affected by them. But depending on your age and apparently species, only certain laws affect you. Now let's explore how these different laws affect you. The law of similarity states that image equals object, and this is when a child or animal reacts to an image as if it is actually what the image represents. It's kind of like when you show a child a photorealistic image of like a tiger that's like in attack position, like it's about to growl at you, and the kid freaks out. Or when you give a kid a toy and it looks like really realistic and threatening, they freak out. My niece Olivia, she's is really afraid of a Grinch toy that we have that's from the Jim Carrey Grinch, where it's like a really real looking creepy face, and that's kind of like the law of similarity. She's seeing like this toy monster and perceiving it as something that's more than it really is. And I went through a similar experience when I was younger. I actually had a poster of the Jim Carrey Grinch that like hung up in my room, and it was really creepy in the dark. It just seemed like it had like a whole other essence to it. So I actually kind of see where they're coming from with this when they talk about animals too, because that's how scarecrows work, right? A scarecrow is just like a fake person that you put in a field, and then crows don't come and eat the food because they're afraid that the person is going to shoo them away, even though it's not an actual person. So when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, there are a lot of instances where kids will see like creepy looking statues and different things like that, and they freak out even though it's just an inanimate object. Due to the law of sympathetic magic, seeing a really creepy gargoyle statue is not just seeing something that looks like a creepy gargoyle. Image equals object. If it looks like a creepy gargoyle, then it is a creepy gargoyle. It's actually like this demonic being. And that's why I think kids are seen as having like bigger imaginations, because if image equals object, then like anything that you imagine kind of has like its own reality to it. Play would have like a whole different level of understanding if you saw play as like a magic reality. And based on these experiments that have been cited by the MIT Encyclopedia of Cognitive Science, that seems to be how it is. That there's a whole other dimension to how images relate to reality for children rather than for adults. Now, adults, we get the law of contagion, which is less on the surface, and the MIT Encyclopedia of Cognitive Science says this too. They're like, where the magic that affects children and animals seems to be based on what you see is what it is. Ours is what you don't see, adds an additional like air to it. And they refer to contagions as like essences, but the law of contagion states that once two objects are in contact, they are always in contact. And this is when adults unconsciously, whether they believe in magic or not, behave as if the traits of one object have been spread to another object through physical contact. So physical contact was a really big thing that they pushed, but the traits that can be passed over can be anything from physical traits of the first object to mental traits of one object to another. So if you have this really angry, grumpy person, and he always has like this watch around, and it's like his watch that he always wears, and you know him for that. And then you were to wear his watch, it might affect your mood. And you may feel like angrier and grumpier, and that is because you believe that the traits that the man had are somehow conferred to the watch. And this can be done intentionally. Someone can like on purpose, because if you believe in magic, I feel like you get some advantages too. That's another thing that I thought of after I read this article, is that just because a lot of other people don't believe in magic, if everyone's affected by it, if you know that and you believe in magic, you can use it to your advantage. You can actually do stuff with it. So you could put a curse on something and like joke with your friend and be like, yeah, I cursed this thing. If you touch it, it'll give you bad luck throughout your day. And your friend may not believe that it's true, but the way they behave and act around whatever you said that you cursed would be different from their actual conscious beliefs. So even if they don't believe that like the object that you cursed is cursed, they'll be reluctant to touch it. And if they do touch it, they begin to do this self-fulfilling prophecy thing where their unconscious thoughts about what they did can even affect them throughout their day and even cause them to like perform worse on an object. Perform worse on an objective. So anyways, that is my list of 4 fun facts about different things I learned about over break. You guys stay tuned for Tick to Guy, more content.